Getting it going. Welcome, everyone.
You know what I was actually I was watching right before this was we were talking about, remember that clip that we had in the car where we were talking about Jordan Belfort and the whole like sound fair enough tonality.
Yeah.
Let's just for like context, right? It's like Wolf of Wall Street, and the ability, like tonality and framing and everything within sales is like how you say it sometimes is so much more important than what you say. And it's just like the ability to frame to not allow for the person to have an objection, to like naturally flow with how people's minds think. And that sound fair enough. Like everybody wants to, you want to go in that direction if you're the prospect. So it's super interesting and applicable to brand direct wholesale and contacting these brands that we source, just because it's like what you say can change the game for you as far as if you close the account or not. And you get better at it over time. But Wolf of Wall Street, like, just it's good stuff.
Yep. We are jumping in here momentarily to some sourcing. Guys, let us know you're here. I see some people popping in. If you're here, drop a comment. If you're here for sourcing, if you're here for questions, what are you here for? We want to hear from you. So
where you're at and the stage of your wholesale journey, and how are things going, and if you have any questions, obviously drop them in the chat here so that we can answer them and get your questions answered.
Yeah, give it another minute or two before I fire up Keep a Product Finder. We've been finding some pretty good products in the past couple of weeks. Some brands that we would literally contact ourselves.
Yeah, definitely. One of the things that we did last week, which I really thought was valuable, was like the ranking of the different products that we found, right? So it's like based, I think it was like 4 or 5 different products, and like greatest to least in terms of like how excited we were about them type of deal, and like going over the factors as to why that was as well. Because, I think that it speaks to like how like the criteria that we're looking for basically when we're reaching out to the brands.
Yeah. What did we say? So 1 to 10, what was that scale? How we ranked brands last week?
Yeah, it was just like that basic 1 to 10 as far as how excited are you as far as the potential of what you think that brand might be. Now, like with 10 being the best and 1 being the worst, and like we don't really know obviously until we reach out to the brand what that's going to be like, because like I mentioned last time, I mean, you could reach out to the brand and have it be a 10, and then you reach out to them and you're like, this is now a 1, right? Where you were super excited about reaching out, and now it's a hard no. We need a licensed physician on staff. You're never going to get an account with this type of deal. And so that could happen. But just from the initial perspective of saying what the listing looks like, 1 to 10, 10 being the best, 1 being the worst.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was thinking about that the other day. It's like the more you do the more you immerse yourself in the process, the more you're able to draw an intuition for what a successful and winning brand or product might be. But it's not just some like magical feeling we get. It's more so just like a data collection over months and years that leads you to the point where you can literally look at a listing and be like, this is absolutely, this is a winning brand. Or we've even gone as far as being like, this is an exclusive, right? Like it's just, it's the ability to read that listing, but that comes with like, there's a whole subconscious process that happens where it's basically just extracting years worth of data in a matter of 10 seconds.
And it was like I said this morning I don't know if you listened to the voice message that I had sent, but to someone on our team, where I was like, I was talking about committing to these large purchases and how those large purchases are following the intuition that's built up over months and years of doing this. And so it's a process where you become more and more intuitive. And you know, as you do this more and like you said, immerse yourself in it, that intuition, it can be a smaller and smaller detail that gives you that intuition to be able to give that rating, you know, of that 1 to 10.
Right. All right. Yep. Exactly. So I'm seeing some people joining in now. We're going to dive into a little bit of sourcing here in a second, see what we can find. I'm just setting my Keep a Product Finder filters on my end. So if you guys haven't seen what filters we set, I would encourage you to watch the YouTube video that goes into detail about which KPF filters are the best ones to set for brand direct wholesale. Because I think in the instance of time, and you know, like we've been covering what filters to set for the past 3 weeks on our lives. So like if you guys have joined in the past, you know, you already know what we're doing. If you're new here, you know, go back and watch some of the videos where we've covered those.
Just looking for that video here. That's, I'm going to link it.
Yeah.
Which video is this? It's the
How to find products.
Oh, got it. Yep, there it is. Perfect. Yeah, so I'm just going to toss that in the chat here, link that for you guys to check out. Even after the live, you know, reviewing that. There you go. Yeah, keep a product finder and just in general, and the sourcing process is like, rather than, you know, it's the equivalent of like, you know, you're sifting for gold, right? It's, you are getting through the majority of bad stuff, bad products, the majority of dirt in order to get to, you know, that gold. PP25, love your sourcing video. Appreciate you. Someone was talking to me the other day, saying that they had watched every single YouTube video on the channel, which that's impressive. I mean, if you go back, I think what is there? There's over 600. Wow, we're actually at 600 even. So that's definitely it's a lot of hours. If you watch all 600 of those videos and you don't like, you're not running a 7-figure business, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, well, I mean, the obviously the information is very useful, but it's a matter of, you know, we always say it. It's you gotta implement. You know.
Yeah.
Can't just be
absolutely
information gathering stage.
Definitely. Going through old videos from 5 years ago. Wow.
All right, so share my screen here. You can see my screen.
Yep.
All right, so here we are in Keep a Product Finder with our filters already set. And so the first thing I want to do is I want to go all the way to the back of the Keep a Product Finder catalog to page 100. And, you know, as much as I'd like to give people a set process, you know, we were just talking about it in that, like, a lot of it is intuition. So yeah, we're looking at the number of units bought. Yeah, we're looking at, you know, what's the average selling price, or, you know, the 90-day average. Those are pretty much the main factors we're looking at. And then we're mainly, our eyes are being drawn here to like what the image is and what the listing looks like.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I click, I'm looking at this, right? And then I'm immediately like, this is like some sort of electronic type thing. But no, it's more like a.
Well, that's like, looks like for a meter, like I can't really read it, but.
Just not really loving what that is. It's also, I mean, 100
I
units.
also assume that that is, I mean, the price on that. I really think that it comes down a lot of the times to, someone that is like, I think brand direct wholesale obviously is an analytical thing, but at the end of the day, it's much more an art than it is a science. And so while we want to stick to these certain criterias that we have, any one thing can change that. So in other words, if we have all of these, I don't know, let's say that the product is under, $18 or something like that, and we don't necessarily want to source products under like 18 bucks, let's say, just as an example, and it's under, a certain amount of sales that maybe we're not the happiest with it, but there's one factor that turns that from a product that we don't necessarily like or that we wouldn't source to a product that we're absolutely going to put on the list and call. And that can be the smallest of factors. And obviously the product has to sell at the end of the day and you have to be able to make money off of it. But there's certain factors that can overrule or override any of the analytical things that we talk about, which is why I was saying like it's more of kind of an art than a science. And so those are always the things, those outliers, those black swans, right? To be able to see those.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So this is like a little, kind of appealing to me. So it's a makeup product. It's selling 1,000 units plus bought, and it's $65. So cosmetics inherently has a very high margin category in cosmetics. And so you look at something like this, right? The first thing I'm looking at is the prices all over the place. But you look at something like this, and you got to ask yourself, okay, a 2.7 fluid ounce product is selling for $65. I mean, there has got to be some good margin in that. So I would just take a look at what the historical view is. And
so immediately, I mean, is there anything, what's the first thing your eyes are drawn to there? Because I know for me, there's something very, apparent.
Well, there's definitely a strong increase in sales, but you got to ask yourself, because before there was like no stock, and so the price was super high. And so now when more sellers get on the listing, naturally the price starts to stabilize, and the volume is much better at these prices. So like this is the range of where it wants to sell, as opposed to $90. So
I mean,
brand has
for
some
me,
maybe.
Yeah, for me, I was going to say I'm looking at that and I'm saying, well, it looks like there are sellers on that bottom graph, that blue line, right? There's never not any sellers on it when those, you're saying those stockouts, right, back in that April area. And so for me, I'm looking at that as, did the buy box get suppressed there? Is that something that's happening where it's priced too high because there are consistently sellers, even though the buy box is not there? So it could be a suppression issue, which, again, like, let's kind of look down the line and say, how can I use that as a value add to the brand that I reach out to? Well, if you contact the brand and you're like, the buy box, you call the brand, you're like, hey, your buy box is suppressed. They're going to be like, what the hell are you talking about? Right. But saying, your products on Amazon have less visibility than they should, could be a way to translate that into their language.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is, it's actually a fairly newer product, listed in the past 200 days. So we could dig into this further, see if they have anything else. Looks like they do. They have some other products here. So they have actually a pretty good arsenal of products. Pretty interesting here. And their listings are not optimized. So yeah, I mean, this would be a perfect example of a winning brand that I would reach out to. It's just, one thing I like to look at is the sellers that are on there, see if they're industry specific or if they're Amazon sellers. And sometimes you can tell by the name, right? So premium brands. I mean, my initial thought is that's more of an Amazon seller. And
Sure.
Growth Smart, same deal. So I'm going to open those up and I'm going to click in the store and just take an initial glance at what they're selling. And so they have some beauty products, but let's see, if we They also have kind of a mix of different things, but looks like mostly beauty, and then kind of a mix of stuff. So yeah, I mean, this is definitely a good brand to reach out
Yeah,
to.
so definitely one for one there. So you jump back to maybe KPF, and for those listening, like what Brad just did, where he went into the other sellers' storefronts and went from there. That storefront stalking, I mean, that was the bread and butter of our business and building. We weren't using Keeper Product Finder, we weren't using Smart Scout. It was storefront stalking, and you can really expand on that with these softwares, but do not underestimate that, because there are a ton of products you could find through doing that. And like Brad was saying, finding like-minded stores. So if you click into a store and it's all retail arbitrage products, which you'll know within 2 seconds, you want to click out of that because it's not going to serve you as a storefront to source.
Yeah. And you can also just plug in that storefront ID into Keep a Product Finder. Like, so if you go here and you wanted to do that, you just go up to the URL and you look where it says me equals, and then copy that storefront ID, and then actually go into Keepa here, right? And you can go back to the product finder and go all the way down to seller ID. And then where is it? Right here. So you just paste that, and then you run find the products, and it's already showing that there's 354 products. So a good way to hone in on products within the store.
Yeah, and it takes it and really organizes it as well. If you're just doing a general search on Keep a Product Finder, I mean, I think that storefront stalking Keep a Product Finder method has to be my favorite one for sourcing products, because it's taking the in-depth granularity of Keep a Product Finder, but also you're really niching down into a subsect of products within a store. So it's not like all over the place,
Yep, exactly.
While you're looking in here for another product, I'm just going to touch on a couple questions that we have. Right here, PP25. I have this question: when you approach a brand, you tell them we're going to optimize their listing, like title, bullet point, and Amazon ads. After that, do you actually run PPC for them, like creating the campaign? So you can do a couple different things. You can, what was that there? Let's take a look at that real quick. Interesting. So you can do a couple different things, right? You can run PPC if it's something you're proficient at, or if you want to hire someone in-house to do it, or you can outsource it to an agency, right? And I'm going to say that with everything that you asked in your question, whether it is optimizing the listing itself, whether it is running the PPC campaigns, if it is not something that you are, one, passionate about, two, is worth your time or serves you in the business, then outsource it, right? As an operator, which 99% of you are that listen to this, or an owner of your business, you want to be able to sell the vision and outsource the logistics. And that's what we teach, right? So if you're comfortable doing it, do it. But if you're not comfortable doing it, feel free to outsource it to an agency, or a freelancer or something like that. So
Yeah, you gotta keep in mind, like, what drives the revenue. Like, you gotta ask, people, anybody watching, like, ask yourself, what is driving the revenue for my business? And the answer is not, yes, you want to do the best work you possibly can for brands. Like, that's a given. So whether you got to do it yourself, whether you got to hire a team to do it, whatever, you have to have the fulfillment down. Because if you don't have the fulfillment down, the brands are going to get disappointed, and then you're going to lose the brand account. But at the end of the day, like, your time as the primary driver of your business is going to be best spent doing outreach. So like if you can't do outreach, either immerse yourself in it, get good at it, or you have to have like somebody with a vested interest doing outreach, you know?
Yep, absolutely. And then to follow up on that question, we've got Steven asking, when do you pitch exclusivity and how do you frame it in a way that is beneficial for the brand? Um, so I'm going to kind of answer this in reverse, right? So framing exclusivity in a way that is beneficial for the brand is extremely easy to do. The reason that Brad and myself are so good at pitching exclusivity and conveying things to brands is because we truly believe in it, because our conviction is there, because it is the best thing for the brand, right? If you have a convoluted mess on Amazon, it affects the brand in ways even beyond Amazon itself. So framing it in a way that's beneficial is just learning to speak the brand's language. Like I mentioned at the beginning of this live, right? Saying to whatever the, example I used, I think the buy box suppression, saying to a brand, your buy box is suppressed means nothing to them, as opposed to translating it in a way to say your products are not necessarily being viewed on Amazon the way that they should be. It's affecting your brand. And, we'll be able to solve that by putting control variables around your brand, which is through exclusivity. So it truly is the best thing for the brand, which is why we are so passionate about it. Because at the end of the day, we really want to help these brands, and you should too. It's much more rewarding. And when you pitch exclusivity, I want to touch on that as far as the ability to emotionally understand where the brand is coming from. I think that as you do this more and more, like Brad and I said at the beginning, like you get more intuition with this type of stuff. And so you could quite literally lose the account if you pitch exclusivity too early. But at the same time, there's also been calls where Brad and I have pitched exclusivity with the brands on the very first phone call, because you're getting the emotional understanding of doing this hundreds and thousands of times, where it just makes sense and you know when to do it. So that is something that you have to learn on your own over time, because you'll just gain a better intuition. Same thing like with sourcing. You'll gain a better intuition of when the brand is more comfortable. You don't want to scare the brand off. So just take it slow and learn to pick up on emotional, verbal, physical cues and things like that. And you'll know when.
Right.
Great questions.
Yeah, it's a very good question. And the other thing on that is, it's a very methodical set of words that we use to start talking about and engaging in a conversation of exclusivity, right? Like, and this is what we talk about, like, in our community, is like using the right, like the difference between saying to a brand strategic partnership versus exclusive agreement. Two completely different tonalities behind that. Like the brand could hear that in two completely different ways. And so like in the beginning, you want to be much more cautious with like how aggressive you are with even the like as the word, like as simple as the words that you choose.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can very easily scare a brand off by saying, exclusive partnership or exclusive agreement on the first call. We want an exclusive, but phrasing it as like, we're in this for a strategic partnership. It's planting the exclusivity seeds without saying exclusivity, because strategic partnership, vested interest, all these things imply long-term growth and long-term, mutual success.
Yeah.
And so that's how you really stand out.
Yeah. You are, like you said, planting those seeds, but you are framing the conversation in a way in which what you haven't even proposed yet, but what you're going to propose down the line is the most viable option for the brand. You're constantly fighting the uphill battle of most, I would say, Amazon sellers reaching out to them, having no idea what they're doing. We actually have someone today, that one of the brands that we work with, that received an email from the same seller from 5 different company names, right? And it was clearly a blanket template email that made no sense, right? Like, this is the bar that you're up against, where you just need to be able to put in the effort to convince the brands that you're working with that that's not the norm and that you're different, and be able to stand out.
Yeah, and be a real person, because not get emotional or angry or defensive at the fact that brands don't want to work with you, because they don't. That's just like a reality you have to accept at the beginning. Brands don't want to work with you. They don't want to work with us. They have a preconception toward that's negative toward Amazon sellers. And so,
be empathetic to it.
yeah, that's the best thing to do, is be empathetic to it. And a lot of times, we see sellers time and time again through the conversations we have with brands. We see these sellers get very defensive and, try to throw money at the brands, and it doesn't work.
Yeah, it does not work in your favor.
Yeah.
Next question here. If the brand owner decides to give you the wholesale account, what do you do after that? If the listing's not optimized, do we ask them if we can fix it for them? What's the deal on that? So I think it was a tweet or something recently that I had posted that about the subjectivity of value, right? So at the end of the day, if a brand owner, let's use PPC as an example, just because that was a question earlier, right? If the brand owner doesn't care about PPC, if they don't want to do PPC, if they have no interest in PPC, I am completely, I'm barking up the wrong tree to start pitching them on that, to close this from a supplier agreement to an exclusive agreement. So I think that you really, again, need to look at the emotional state of the brand. And if the listing isn't optimized, rather than saying, hey, can we optimize your listing? Talk to them about their presence on Amazon, explore their pain points, ask questions, open-ended questions, try to figure out if that matters to them. And if it doesn't, I would start with something else to get them walking down the road of exclusivity. We're not there yet at the destination, but we're starting to walk down that road by using something they find valuable to add value to their brand on Amazon.
Yeah, and the brand might not know what they need.
Right.
So like a PPC or a listing optimization or whatever the value add is, those are just, like plugins essentially. Like, that's not the focus of what, like, those, like, I mean, if we're having a conversation with a brand, like, we're not getting into all the granularities and the complexities about how to optimize a listing. We're focusing on the big picture.
Yep. Yeah, I think actually a really good example of that is one of the YouTube videos that I can actually, again, link here, is when I had flown somewhere to go close an exclusive. And in the video, I was talking about how I effectively took a notepad that I bought at Walmart and I drew some pictures, and that was one of the most effective things to close that brand, because I broke things down at such a simple level for them that they could understand it, rather than all the hyper granularities with Amazon. I just like that video below.
Yeah, and so you guys will see, like, I'm playing around with the filters, sorting from highest sales volume to low sales volume, sorting from high price sell price to low price, and just sifting through, because at the end of the day, like, it's kind of what we need to do.
The product looked interesting to me right there. Yep.
Well, I mean, it's doesn't sell that many units, but it sells at a high price. So
A lot of the times as well, I like to explore these types of accounts because it's more within reach for someone that's just starting out,
yeah,
you know, because at the end of the day, you have to hit a certain purchase volume to stock products. And if that's out of your buying power, then, it doesn't matter if you close the brand, you're not going to be able to afford it, which is the reality.
yeah, this might be an opportunity for somebody.
Yeah.
I'm not like jumping up and down at the nature of what the product is, but
Yeah. I
I
agree.
don't think it's that, medical heavy to where it, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So found another viable option.
Jonna in here asking, have you guys dealt with FDA compliance issues? Yeah, I mean, I assume you're talking about like the account health violation where it's like that type of a thing. But everything that we do, as best as we possibly can, products are pre-vetted. So if there's compliance, then it's something that's slipped through the cracks on our end. But we are reviewing products for compliance before they're getting added to inventory. So FDA compliance, not really, don't have a ton of experience in that. If you ask a more specific question, maybe we could help with it. But
Yeah,
how often you guys go live? We go live once a week, usually on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern, but sometimes that changes. But then we also have, we go live on calls within our community specifically for more higher level stuff as well.
so found a few products. This looks like a return waiting to happen. It's only got 3.5 stars. Yeah. Hey guys, there's tons of opportunity. It never ceases to amaze me. I mean, I'm being very selective as I'm scrolling here, but and I'm in the high price range still. I'm at still in the $100 sell price range. But yeah, tons of opportunity. Just got to go in and find it.
Yeah, again, it's just about sifting through the dirt to get to the gold. It's really what it is. Which is why I think at the beginning it can be a discouraging process, the sourcing. But as you get better and better at it, like the process becomes easier the more you do it, just like anything else.
Yeah, I mean, here's another one, right?
Mhm.
Here, this one looks like it's seasonal, but that never stopped me. This is a product that is a high sell price, and so
And look at how specific that product is.
yeah,
Like,
very niche.
I mean, yeah, you're and that's what we say a lot of times. There's a lot of money in that because
Mhm.
I mean it's just very specific products. If you need a hay bale tester, you can't, as far as I know, go to Walmart and buy that. Maybe you can, I don't know, but you have to get it from a specific brand, a specific company. A lot of riches in the niches, as we say.
Yeah, and now you got a bunch more stores to source, right? So you open this, you open this, you open this, and now you just added 3 more storefronts to your sheet that you can then run the storefront ID, and to keep a product finder. I can already see these stores sell a multitude of different kinds of products. So these are the kind of stores that we want to be sourcing, right? So yeah, I mean, we just found one product with a high sell price, only kind of low volume, but it's a high sell price, so it makes up for it. Listing's okay, but could definitely use some work. We found another one here with So why don't we do our final ranking like we did last time? Like,
Yeah.
one being, tell us what the scale is again.
Yeah. So we're going with just a 10 is like the best account in the world, right? And a one is we're, probably shouldn't have even added it to our list. But as far as an excitement level, right? And that's based in the emotional feeling. That excitement level is based in the criteria in which we think we're going to be the most successful contacting the brand. So, I mean, we're reviewing the two products right here. Or is there another one? Just
Yeah,
the
we
two.
got one, and then we got two. This one I actually just
It's still, yeah, it's a big brand.
I got a toy chainsaw, and then this one.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, that one. Yeah. So, why don't you? I started last week, so why don't you give us some opinions? How do we feel about the whatever that is, the hay bale moisture tester?
Yeah, I mean, this is probably like 7 to me. Um, I mean, this is going to sell really well in the like for a short period in the summer. It's basically going to go dead the rest of the year. So that's why it's like a 7 for me. It's got a very short window, but it's a really high sell price. So you're going to make a lot of money in these 2.5 months right here. And then it's going to start to die. So this for me would probably be a 7. Um, this one, let's see, this one would be a little bit more consistent. I'd probably put it around the same 7 or 8. And then this one's like a 10, like a 9 or a 10, because it
Yep.
hits on everything. It's got a high sell price. It's a small, tiny little bottle. So there's going to be a lot of baked in margin. It's selling at high volume. They got multiple products in the brand line. The listings are not optimized. There's multiple resellers on it. They all seem to sell a variety of products. It's got everything. So that's my analysis.
Yeah, I'm at a 10 on this one as well. On that one, yeah, pretty much in agreement with it. I think that first one is great, especially for someone that's newer, because maybe it's a little more difficult to project seasonally, but at the same time, it's less risk in terms of like you're not concerned about buying stock all year. You're just concerned about getting the stock for the season, and it's less capital, I guess, throughout the year. So maybe for a newer person who's not afraid of seasonality, might be a good account. But yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. So with that, I mean, we found several products as we do, week in and week out. And so, for you, those of you guys tapping in, as Brandon mentioned before, we're actually going to go live tomorrow night inside of our community, where we are going to take these brands, analyze them, break them down, and develop a fine-tune sales strategy. So if you guys are interested in joining that, shoot us a message on Instagram, Operation AMZ, in the DM. We basically reply to you within 5-10 minutes.
Who's we?
Yeah, Brandon basically replies. He's
Yeah, but if you guys are part of the community in here, because I know some of you guys are in here on the stream, I would definitely tune into that tomorrow. Very valuable stuff for you guys to start crafting your process, right? So
it's all going to be that meticulous stuff, right? It's like I alluded to it earlier: strategic partnership versus exclusive agreement, right? How do you now start becoming and sounding like a true brand partner, right? Because those are the guys that win. I just got a call today from a brand that I haven't talked to in a year, and he called me, right? He called me because he said he had a sticker on his desk with my name on it, and the time was right? And all I did was I gave him the value over a long period of time, and I stopped reaching out after a while, and the opportunity came back. And so that's what it's all about, is actually providing real and tangible value to other businesses. And that's what we're in the business of doing.
that guy had the sticker on his desk for a year.
Yeah, that's what he said.
It's like hard to do. I mean, hey, whatever works,
Yeah. All
But
right.
I guess
Well,
the important part is, the consistency and reaching out, and that's what's going to get you to that point where we are top of mind to the brand, because, if that sticker had been on the desk for a year and, Brad had provided nothing of value, it would have meant nothing. But coming at it from a strategic partnership standpoint is what forces the brands, or makes the brands want to reach back out to you. So super important. That's all the stuff that we're teaching within the community. So if you're a part of it, come join. If you're interested, shoot us a DM.
all right, guys. Thanks for joining. It's a pleasure as always. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.